breaking news and trending talk with Mike and McCarty. Mornings on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
So I'm assuming you watched all of this live.
Well, never live. I'm always behind the after I wake up from my nap, I'll go watch it.
But you watched
I watched it. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about the city council.
Shreveport City Council. We had both yesterday. We had Bossier too.
Bossier talking about term limits.
Yeah, which they voted down again. But we're going to talk about Shreveport City Council right now. This is getting so testy. It's now, my headline, Shreveport Council plays hardball with the mayor over the police headquarters. Here's what they did. They urged the mayor to declare an emergency resolution to move the people from the headquarters building immediately.
Right.
He has told us, he has told other media, he's not going to declare an emergency. Doesn't think there's any benefit to it. I mean, if you declare an emergency, what do you get? What can you do under an emergency? Says I don't see anything.
There's no federal funding that's going to come in because you declared a city emergency.
There's no extra steps you can take because you have an emergency. It's just a pronouncement. And he says he agrees with the council members that it's a problem, and he knows it's a problem, and they are working on solutions. But can you move 470 people just like that? Snap your fingers. I mean, just think about a interview room that's got the two-way mirrors, it's got the cameras, it's got the recording set up, it's got the whole, I mean, just to move that alone, I don't know how many interview rooms we have. Some police text me, do we have 10 of them? Do we have 2? I don't know. Mm-hmm. To set those up, those mirrors probably cost $1,000 each. Easy, probably more. I don't know. But to set up one detective room is a ton of money. If we need 2, do we need 5? I don't know. Again, it's going to be a lot of money to move them into a temporary facility, whether it's the Summer Grove Church that's got some space, the old Montgomery Ward's there. But so here's what the council did, which I find hugely political, though they claim it's not. It's about doing what's best for the police department. They decided, we're not going to pass anything you want, Mayor.
Including the bonds that were voted on and approved and passed.
Yeah. You got to go out and sell the bonds so the money starts rolling in.
Right.
Then you can start the design work and start moving the process along. You got to sell the bonds. And that's a pretty standard, go sell the bonds and let's get the money rolling in. They voted that down unanimously. Unanimously voted down selling the bonds. They voted down unanimously extending the emergency declaration at those 3 apartment complexes that are crumbling. And they wanted to elaborate, they wanted to compare, these are falling down and it's an emergency, but our police station's falling down and it's not an emergency. It's a whole different thing.
And all city council members is what you're telling me now.
Yes, unanimous. Those apartment complexes, Mike, squatters are coming in. There's crimes happening in those buildings.
Fires are being set. Right.
That's not happening at the police station. So to compare those two is apples and oranges. It's just not the same.
But it's something that the mayor wants, and they're saying no.
And and that emergency declaration for those apartment complexes does give you something. Police can go in and run people off, no questions asked.
Right.
Public Works can go in and clear out the dumpsters. Fire department can go in and make sure there's no fire hazards. That's what the emergency declaration. So anyway, they vote down anything the mayor wanted on that agenda yesterday, and told him
it's not political.
We hold the purse strings.
Literally said those words.
We hold the purse.
We have the money bag.
Yep. We hold the purse. So you're going to have to do what we want, or we're not going to pass anything you want. So here's what you're telling me. You're going to delay all the bond proposal projects that the citizens voted on. All of them are now delayed because you're not getting your way on the police station, which they are taking action on. They are and where were you 2 years ago in 22 when we tested for mold and the building had been crumbling for 2 years prior to that? Why weren't you screaming then?
Yeah.
That building is just not crumbling under Arsenault. You know what I mean?
The building, right. We got a message on the Shreveport Security Systems message board yesterday that said, look, Shreveport Police Department building has been in decrepit conditions for years.
Yes.
So why are you just now starting to complain?
And this is just not an Adrian Perkins thing either. It goes way before him. There have been water leaks and heating and air conditioning problems in that building for years. I just don't understand how all of a sudden now we're going to scream bloody murder and we're going to hold the mayor's feet to the fire over this. And the thing is, they are looking for space. They are looking at other they're looking at some of the schools, the Stoner Hill School, some of the Sunset Acres, some of the schools that have been closed. They're looking at those. But Mike, I find this really, what you can do, you can go ahead and sell those bonds and get that moving. But then when it comes time to vote on those projects, you can vote then to say, nah, hang on. We still got this bond issue for the police headquarters we haven't dealt with. We need to move on that one first. But it's so funny to me sitting here that now you want the bond projects from 2 years ago. You want these done now, and you're not going to move forward with any others. Why didn't we do that about Ninth Street? Why didn't we stop all bond projects then to finish Ninth Street? And I know it's not a police emergency. That's a different thing. It's apples and oranges. I agree. But I find this very disingenuous, for the council to be unanimous, they're very serious about it. And I think that's what they're hearing from their constituents. And they do have a way to stop the mayor, and this is what they're doing. The mayor's going to join us in studio in the 7 o'clock hour. I want to hear from him. What's he going to do? What do you do?
This is extremely disappointing to me.
Yeah.
Extremely disappointing. Mm-hmm. This is how we solve things.
Yeah. Let's take our ball and go home.
Yeah. Let's not have intelligent discussions.
Right.
Let's pitch fits and play politics.
Absolutely. It's kind of sad. I know.
Is there a pub in Ireland for sale?
Give yourself a hug today. You need it.
Oh, yeah. All right. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL.
Back with more of Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
One 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL, Mike and McCarty.
I got a text on our previous topic, real quick, if you don't mind.
No, go ahead.
I'm going to read it verbatim. Wait, maybe I'll leave one word out. The freaking 2019 bond committee toured that police headquarters, and we went on TV and stated all of this. Some of the same council members were in office then. Exclamation, exclamation, exclamation. Holy cow. Something like that. 2019.
2019. Mm-hmm. Some of. So who would that have been? James Green.
James Green. Grayson Butcher. Tabitha Taylor was in office then. So, and Ursula Bowman's husband, Jerry. Now, I'm not going to hold her accountable for her husband.
Right.
But it's been crumbling since then. And I would tell you, Well,
it's been crumbling, Aaron, for years.
Oh, way before that.
I had gone up there to talk to now Chief Smith before he was police chief about another issue years ago. And I remember walking through that building, and I'm talking, this is 10 years ago.
Oh, I'm going back probably 15, 20 years, and there's buckets in the hallway.
Yeah.
Collecting drips.
Right.
Buckets in the hallway.
What? Yeah.
All of a sudden, it's urgent. And I understand mold and mildew. I get that. But this ain't the first rodeo with mold and mildew. And there are people who are saying mildew's not that far reach from mold.
And I can understand, I can understand the concern. I'm going to say concern. I don't understand this outrage all of a sudden. Mm-hmm. But I can understand the concern if nothing was being done.
Right.
But we're building substations. We're redoing that building.
Yeah, we have the plans in place to redo that building.
We're redoing it.
Mm-hmm. The problem is they don't understand. And maybe they do understand, and maybe I'm wrong. It takes time. It takes time to build these projects. It takes time to get, the bids out. And government can't just snap your fingers and go, come build me a building.
The wheels I'll change this a little bit. The wheels of government grind slowly.
They do. And that's part of the problem. It's, you got to take bids. You got to make sure your plans are in place. They wanted project managers for all these projects, so you had to get those people lined up. Those project managers now have to get with the city people and go, what do you want? What are you looking for? What's your timeline? How do you want the people moved out of there? I just don't understand how they don't get that. It takes some time. It is going to take some time. And you have to urge those police officers and the employees that work there, be patient. We're coming. The cavalry is coming, and we're working on it. But it's getting to the point now where the police officers are screaming loud enough about the horrible conditions that they now have the ear of all 7 council members. And all 7 are saying, it's too slow. We have to do better. We now need to look for an alternative. Rather than waiting to build a substation, we need to find an alternative. My problem is, do we really want to flush that money? Do we want to move into the Summer Grove Church or into the, wherever buildings, whatever school we're looking at, and build interrogation rooms for the police officers and build the things you have to have in a police station that are going to be temporary, and we're going to be flushing that money away? Do we really want to do that? Is it wise use of tax dollars? I'm asking. I understand both sides. I really do. Mm-hmm. But I struggle with that one because we're not a city flush with money. We don't have the money to just flush down the drain and say, we'll build these interrogation rooms and we'll build this, temporary. When you bring in violent criminals into the police station, you have to have a place to put them away from the general public before you question them and all that. So you have to have special facilities for. I don't know what all goes into a police station. I'll be speaking out of turn, but it's not just like picking up your desk and going to move. There's lots of specialty things they have to have that are going to cost money. You can't take the windows out of the current detective rooms and move them. It just doesn't work like that. So I'm a little bit frustrated.
Is the city? Where's the city jail?
City jail is down by.
It's not in 1, 2, 3, 4 Texas.
No, it's in that area. It's about 4 blocks away from that.
Okay.
Don't ask me why I know where the city jail is.
Right.
We'll leave that out.
Well, and I think it was Chief Smith that made a good point when they're talking about, there are buildings downtown available. You can't just put, a police department in an office building. You've got all kinds of people coming in and out of the police station.
Yes.
And you don't, frankly, there's some of the people you don't want just going into an office building where, other people are working. And so that's something to consider. And that was an interesting point that I hadn't thought about.
Yeah, there's all kinds of people that come and go from a police station.
Right.
You never know. You have undercover people. You have a lot of informants. Mm-hmm. That you trust.
Exactly.
They're not going to want to be in a real public building. They're not going to want to come and go from a real public building. And I don't guess they come and go from a police station. Maybe it's all done in separate locations. Again, I don't know police work. I have no clue. But for the city council to say, we hold the purse strings and you're going to do it our way or nothing's going to get done. The power struggle's real on this one now, and they're bowing up big time because it was unanimous.
Yeah. We're going to have the mayor coming in studio next hour to discuss this. And he has said, he's not opposed to declaring an emergency situation if there were a benefit for it. So we'll hear what he has to say coming up next hour.
Yep.
Also, more discussion to come on Keith Burton. That meeting is today. Is that correct?
Yes. And
for the Caddo Parish School Board.
Craig Lee, a community activist who says things were done afoul, and he is going to join us at 7:10 in studio. I want to hear his accusations. Show me something, mister.
Well, he's made the comment it's blatant corruption.
Let me see it.
And so
Bring it.
They reached out to us yesterday, and so we set up a time for Craig to come in, and he'll be in next hour as well to hopefully explain what this blatant corruption is.
Yeah, you don't want to miss this one.
Mike and McCarty, 101.7 FM, 710KEEL.com.
Back to the show with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Going to change gears just a little bit coming up just after the break. Everything you need to know about Prize Fest. Gregory Kallenberg joining us in studio, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL, Mike and McCarty.
Breaking news and trending talk with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
20 films, $50,000.
Cash moolah.
That sounded pretty good, huh?
I think you just earned yourself a job.
101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Mike and McCarty in studio with Gregory Kallenberg, the originator of Prize Fest, which started off with Louisiana Film Prize.
It started with the Film Prize, yeah. Way back in 2012. 13th year.
That's crazy.
13th year.
It's grown into you do food prize and comedy prize and music prize and fashion prize. Wow. Gregory.
It's a lot.
It's amazing.
It's a lot. But and again, we do it right here in Shreveport, Bossier, and we have found a wonderful, kind, embracing home. And, I wouldn't have it any other way. It's such a great community to do this festival in.
So tell us about changes for 2024.
Well, the big change is that we're going back to 1 week. We are going back to our epic pre-pandemic form, which is when you get to go do it all in the course of October 16th to October 20th. And we start with Food Prize on Wednesday. Comedy Prize is expanding to 2 shows. We're actually doubling the size of Comedy Prize. There's an early show and a late show on October 17th. And then the 18th and 19th are Music Prize and Film Prize going on at the same time. A simultaneous glitter bomb of fun.
Wow. Now,
glitter bomb of fun.
The Film Prize is the best 20 short films that were made in Louisiana or made in Shreveport, Bossier. What are the rules for these?
Well, here's the thing, and I don't want to offend any of my New Orleans friends who might be listening, but what we did this past year is we got a grant from Louisiana Economic Development people down south, and they were like, we want Film Prize to be able to shoot throughout the entire state. And so we said, sure, that sounds like a good idea. But if you shoot it in Jefferson Parish, which is in New Orleans, you win $25,000. If you shoot it in Caddo Parish, you win $50,000. And that's thanks to the Caddo Commission throws in an extra $25,000 so that we can give the world's largest cash prize for a short narrative film if they shoot it in Caddo Parish. And we have really not seen as high numbers of people coming to Shreveport to shoot the film since before the pandemic. And this year they came in droves.
So that was the original, was you had to shoot in Caddo Parish.
Yeah, so that you had to shoot it in Caddo Parish. But I think that one of the things that is important to note is that when they're coming to Caddo Parish, they are eating in our restaurants, staying in our hotels, and hiring our local workers. So, I never, I'm a liberal arts guy. I went to film school, so I didn't know the word, what economic development meant, that could actually have impact. But the idea of these people coming here and doing what they do just even before the festival is something that's incredibly important.
You obviously have been watching the Curtis 50 Cent Jackson moves that could make our area another, film and TV production mecca. Is there any involvement from him? Will he be involved in this at all? Have y'all had any talks?
Well, I mean, I would tell you that big shout out to Orville Hall and Temple Williams for everything that they're doing for the community to integrate the Curtis Jackson sort of initiative into town. What we're doing is we're really trying to train up a group of people here in Shreveport to not only create in Shreveport, but also to work in these productions when they get here. So really, when you look at Prize Fest, and especially October 18th and the 19th, I mean, it's certainly about seeing the films and the parties and all the things that people get to do when they come here. But it's also about the creative community coming together, making those connections, creating a network so that once things like Curtis Jackson's initiative starts, Film Prize can really be that foundation that he stands on that allows for him to be successful. And that's really where our goal is.
Because when the film industry came here, it was right after Katrina, really, when it came north. Because hurricane season would drive a lot of productions out of New Orleans, and Shreveport picked up a lot of that. But the problem was, in addition to the tax incentives being obliterated at the time, but there was no infrastructure here like there was, in New Orleans. And so hopefully this will change with carpenters and set builders and electricians and crew members and PAs and, actual film professionals.
This is like, I feel like I'm hearing like a confessional from someone who lived the nightmare. It's like, Mike is like, can we get the carpenters here? Yeah, right. But the fact is that wonderfully enough, and I'll just say it, is that Film Prize, especially in Caddo Parish, produces more minute-for-minute content than anywhere else in the state. So granted, it's independent, but also it's important to note that I think we're on our fourth Film Prize short that's been turned into a feature. So a film called Peeping Todd, which is going to have a sneak peek at Film Prize this year, is another Film Prize short where these people, Josh Buns, Alexander Jeffrey, and his crew, went out, raised funds, and then shot the feature here. So don't sleep on the idea that people aren't already bringing film production back to Shreveport, right? I mean, now, granted, it's not a Marvel movie, but that's not what you have to do to actually sustain an indigenous film community here, which is what Film Prize is focused on.
For folks that want to take part, they've never gone to Film Prize, how do they get tickets? What kind of investment? They say, I've got to see 20 films. They're short films. It's not going to take you forever. Where do I get tickets, and what's the investment?
Wait. So I don't get to philosophize with Mike Martindale about how to rebuild the Louisiana, Shreveport, Louisiana film community? Really? I'm here to talk about Prize Fest? No way. I'll talk about this other stuff all day long.
I don't mean to derail.
But I will tell you, if anyone's out there, and go to prizefest.com, all the information is there. It's as easy as buying a ticket to Film Prize. You got to see all 20 to vote. That's to give equal regard to all the films. Keep in mind that these films were made by filmmakers from Los Angeles, from Atlanta, Georgia, all over the country. They come to Shreveport, but then they come back. And while it's definitely part of the game to see Film Prize, to see all 20 of your shorts, it's also important to be a part of that community. All these filmmakers want to be your friend. They want your vote. So if you feel like you're lonely, come down to Film Prize because you'll have at least 20 films that particular weekend. And then also Music Prize is another one that's as easy to buy a ticket to and see 11 bands and have the time of your life.
And it sounds daunting. I have to watch 20 films. It really isn't. First of all, they're broken up into two slates of 10 films each. The films range from how many?
5 to 15 minutes. So, I mean, the way that we describe it out there is that coming down to Film Prize and you want to vote, you're really seeing 2-hour movies over the course of really Thursday to Saturday. So you have a lot of time to see it. And again, like I said, this year we're going back to 1 week. So you see your films during the day, you go to Music Prize at night.
kinds of films we're going to see, from comedies to horrors. You've got a whole kind of slate, right?
I mean, the whole phalanx of genres are represented. I mean, we don't have documentary, but when it comes to comedy, horror, rom-com, everything under the moon is really shown at Film Prize. And the cool thing is if you live in Shreveport or Bossier, you get to see your city on the big screen because they shoot it here. It's amazing to see what these filmmakers can do with the backdrop that is Shreveport and Bossier, which is an amazing backdrop.
I remember a director years ago saying, when you shoot in New Orleans, you're shooting New Orleans. He said, but I can make Shreveport Omaha, Nebraska, or I can make Shreveport New York City. He goes, there's no specific architecture that's identifiable immediately.
I mean, we have played as science fiction backdrops. We played in big city. We played in the rural. People love to shoot like out on Wallace Lake and places like that. I mean, it truly is. I mean, what is so beautiful about Film Prize and why everyone needs to come down and support it is because this community really does put their arms around these filmmakers and really give them the path to success in making a film. And to be down there at the culmination, which is during Prize Fest between, October 16th and the 19th, if you want to see the films or eat the food or go to Comedy Prize or hear the music, I mean, it really is something incredibly special. When I say special, it's not special in Shreveport. It's not special in Louisiana. It's special in the United States. You got to come and be a part of it.
Let me ask you a question that sounds like it's a secret. For Food Prize, do you know ahead of time what they're serving, or is it like they can keep that a secret and then they just bring out the food?
Well, another big part of the changes this year, because, Food Prize has really helped the local culinary community. And we are now expanding in a way that is creating national waves out there. And just ask Tim Carman from the Washington Post, the food critic, who comes in to judge Food Prize. But there are two components to it. One is called Come and Get It. Super expensive ticket, but we take local chefs and we pair them with celebrity chefs. There's also a Golden Shaker competition. Then 3 of those chefs will actually make it to the finals. The finals is called the Battle for the Golden Fork. It's on Saturday at 3 p.m. It's open to the public. And if you want to see the community show up and show out for their local chefs and scream their heads off, and it's the weirdest thing, Aaron, because at the end of the day, you don't get to, for the Battle of the Golden Fork, you don't get to taste the food, and you really can't see them cook it either. But people go crazy because, again, this community is a community that lifts these local chefs up. So it's a important component of what we do now.
Does it have to be locally sourced foods? I mean, are there any rules with regard to that?
We do as much as we can to create opportunities for local purveyors of everything. So I think it's incredibly important to note that at Film Prize, we are hyper-focused on uplifting and shining a light on our local community. And that's why people need to show up and show out and be loud.
It's so much fun. October 16th is when it kicks off. And I know just during Film Prize, you shut that block off in front of Art Space. People, the filmmakers set up their tents. They're setting up tables. You've got stages set up down there. You've got It is an atmosphere. It is so much fun. Even if you've never been, go experience that.
Well, again, we'd love for you to buy a ticket and be a part of Film Prize or Music Prize, Food Prize, definitely Comedy Prize. Comedy Prize is always a hot ticket. Definitely take a look at that. But you're right. At the end of the day, we want to offer the opportunity for people to participate at every level, from the most expensive level down to free. And when you look at where we close off Texas Street in front of Art Space, we now are calling that Prize Island. There's a prize vibe down there. We're teaming up with Sylvester Marshall from Social Circle. And on Saturday, we're going to be doing yoga. We're going to be doing talks with filmmakers and creators that are out there. We're going to be doing a mixology demonstration that's all free to the public. So you got to come down and be a part of it.
Where's Comedy Prize? Where are they going to perform?
Comedy Prize has moved to the Music Prize Garage, and it is something to behold. We have national comedians from all over the country coming to Shreveport, Louisiana to perform. Now, these are comedians that are about to have HBO specials or were in Netflix as a joke. These are top-notch comedians, and they're here because of the judges. People like Charlie Sotelo from South by Southwest Comedy, Michael Cox, who books for The Fallon Show. They come to Shreveport because they love our city, right? Wow. They love our city. And as a result, these comedians fly in from all over the country to perform. And again, this year we're doubling the size of Comedy Prize. It's going to be 2 shows, an early show and a late show. We're releasing the lineup today. So it is something where everyone needs to have their finger on the button because that show, comedy show, early show and late show will probably sell out pretty quickly.
Exciting. Gregory Kallenberg, the Prize Fest head cheese.
I love it.
Yeah.
Head cheese. I'm head cheese.
It's prizefest.com.
Prizefest.com.
Find out all the information, all the scheduling. In October 16th is when it all kicks off. Again, kudos for you bringing this to Shreveport, continuing to grow it. It's just an honor to have you in here on the show.
Well, before I leave, I just want to say one thing. Can I say one thing?
Mm-hmm.
Sure. All right. Viva Mike and Aaron. Viva Mike and Aaron, ladies and gentlemen. Beautiful. This is awesome.
Can't top that. 101.7 FM 7. I turned off my own mic. 710 KEEL.
Back with McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
One 101.7 FM 710 KEEL. We've been talking about Shreveport City Council coming up just after the news at the top of the hour. Shreveport, political activist?
Community activist, you
Community
bet.
activist. Craig Lee is going to join us in studio. He thinks the fix is in with the Caddo Parish School Board. And we'll see what he's got to say.
Calls it corruption. Show it to me. Let me see it.
Blatant corruption.
Yep, let's see it.
We'll find out. Coming up after the news, Mike and McCarty. 101.7 FM, 710keel.com.
If you're a facilities manager at a warehouse and your HVAC system goes down, it can turn up the heat, literally. But don't sweat it, Grainger has you covered. Grainger offers over 1 million industrial-grade products for all your operations, including warehouse HVAC maintenance. And even better, they offer access to experts and fast delivery, so you and your warehouse can both keep your cool. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
One 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Mike and McCarty, Caddo Parish School Board meeting today. It's a special called meeting. Public is invited, or it's open meeting.
You bet.
Regular rules. Public will be allowed to make comments.
Sure.
So expecting a full house.
Yep.
But there are those that are opposed to Keith Burton as the selection for the Caddo Parish School Board Superintendent. Craig Lee is in studio with us this morning. First of all, Craig, good morning. Thanks for weathering the weather and coming out this morning.
Yes, indeed. Great morning, grand rising to all of you guys.
You said there has been widespread corruption in this process.
You claim blatant corruption.
Yes.
Give us some examples, specific things you can cite that were problems.
So there are three key things that has happened. There are three key things that has happened in this situation. Number one, 8 members of the Caddo Parish School Board, and those members are Dottie Bell, Jessica Yates, Katie McLean, Barry Rochelle, Christine Thorpe, Bonita Dozart, Don Little, and Steve Umling, along with school board attorney Reginald Abrams and the recruitment firm of McPherson and Jacobson. All of them conspired and colluded to violate Title VII of the 1964 Civil Rights Act, which specifically focuses on employment and labor discrimination.
Do you have proof of that?
Absolutely. Because the whole concept was based on the 6 so-called semifinalists, and the 6 semifinalists was supposed to be dwindled down to at least 3.
Who said it was going to be dwindled to 3?
Well, so now you have to know the policies of the Caddo Parish school system. In order to even hire a janitor or a substitute teacher, guess what you got to have? At least 3 candidates. So let's say 10 people.
Well, they had 6 candidates.
Yeah. So this is for the highest position in the parish. The lowest position in the parish, whether it's a janitor, security officer, substitute teacher, if you have 10 people who apply for that job, you got to at least interview at least 3 of those.
Is that in policy?
That's
you must interview 3.
That's in policy.
Can you cite that?
I don't have the actual number of it, but that is actual policy in Caddo Parish. And you can, check on that after we get off air. So this is the process. So when McPherson and Jacobson were hired, they were hired to get down to a list of individuals who are semifinalists, and then you were going to get to the finalists, and those finalists were going to be interviewed. And so what ends up happening, McPherson and Jacobson, I don't know at what point they ended up colluding with the white school board members and Dottie Bell and Bonita Dozart, who were supposed to be representing the African-American community. At some point, they come up with this tainted tally system, which was introduced perceptively that day, but you'll know when you go through the school board meeting on August the 27th, they had already introduced it because they were like, go over this again with us. So when you understand politics, the whole concept of the school board meetings or the city council meetings, this political theater, when you have the meetings, they already had a meeting behind the scenes to work out the details. And so when you look at the tally sheets, you can see that all the white school board members all voted number 1 for Keith Burton, who is the least qualified candidate. As a matter of fact, we got word that he wasn't even in the top 10.
From whom?
Inside source. Yeah. So see, you got to understand, Keith Burton, this whole thing goes back to Lamar Goree. Lamar Goree was a favoritism hire as a byproduct of Dottie Bell and her corruption, knowing his family. And so he wasn't even qualified to be superintendent. So the horse trading that went on between Dottie Bell and a few other so-called African-American elected officials on the school board with the white officials, this is where Keith Burton is inserted in to get into the position of the academic.
You honestly sitting here saying Keith Burton is not qualified?
He's not qualified to be.
How do you say that?
Number 1, you're supposed to have a PhD.
Is that in the qualifications for the job?
So follow me. You're supposed to have a PhD to be superintendent. He has a master's degree. So what has happened...
Is that in the qualifications listed for the job?
That was the qualifications to be PhD. So in order to accommodate Dr. Goree, who didn't have a PhD, they switched the rules up, and then they allowed him to get the PhD after he had been hired. And this is why I warn African Americans in the community, you can't try to do what the white community does corruptly. You can't do that because now it comes back to bite you. So the white power structure, they put Keith Burton in as their guy years ago once they made the rules flip for Goree. And so now this is why Keith Burton is in the mix.
But they switched the rules for Goree, who was a black candidate.
Which was wrong. That's what I'm saying to you. You can't do wrong, period. And so what happens, African descendants, they try to get in these positions and do the same corrupt thing that white folks do. It's wrong, period. It was wrong for Goree to get hired, and it's wrong for this guy to get hired because he's not the most qualified candidate, period. And what they've done, they violated Title VII of the 1964 Civil Rights Act, which goes against employment discrimination.
With all due respect, my problem right now is it all seems to be black and white.
It's always been black and white.
You're saying so-called African-American representatives. Why can't we look at qualifications and character and look at the best person for the job?
If we looked at qualifications, he would not even be getting interviewed. The other 5 candidates all have PhDs, and they're running their respective school districts. He wouldn't even be qualified. That's number 1. Number 2, he's been the academic director of a failing school system for the past 11 years. So I come out of corporate America. I got to Shreveport
but the buck didn't stop at his desk. It stopped with Dr. Goree.
They were all connected. That's what I'm explaining to you. Dr. Goree was a nepotism, cronyism hire. He was. He shouldn't have been in the position.
Ollie Tyler didn't have a PhD. Should she have been superintendent?
She was a nepotism, cronyism hire. She shouldn't have been in the position. And that's why Shreveport and Caddo continues to languish. When I got back here in 1994, Shreveport was at 215,000 population. We're now under 190 because you have so many incompetent people. I don't care if they're African descendants, European descendants. These people are incompetent. And on the school board members, they don't know their bylaws. They don't know Robert Rules of Order. They don't know state law, and they don't know federal law.
But Craig, people were screaming at you on the radio. The community's been run by black folks for many years.
They've been run by Negroes. No, they ain't been run by.
What's the difference?
I'm going to show you. Black folks are about the business of the liberation, empowerment of African descendants, and they're going to have qualifications. Negroes are people who may be melanated, but their whole agenda is the protection, preservation, and empowerment of white supremacy and racism.
Why? Why would they be like that?
Because they're tokens. This is what it's always been. This is the reality of the game.
You're seriously going to sit there and say that?
I'm just telling you the actual truth. From 1555 to 1865, you had tokens, and you still have tokens to this day. And this is the reality of the game that we're in. That's why we cannot move forward as a city.
We can't move forward as a city because of this type of thinking.
No, sir. Because this. So explain this to me. From 1555 to 1865. Let me ask you a question.
Done? Of course.
No. Hold on. Let me ask you a question.
But this is 2024.
It doesn't. Look, we've only been in pseudo integration for 54 years. So when did racism stop?
Pseudo immigration. Integration.
Pseudo integration. When did racism stop?
Well, it hasn't stopped. You're demonstrating that now.
So I'm racist because I'm talking about racism.
No.
No, that's what you just said.
I'm being called racist.
No, I didn't call you anything.
No, I'm not saying you.
I'm telling you the system that was created. This book here, Slavery by Another Name. Have you ever read this book?
Of course not, no.
Now, this is written by a white guy. His name is Douglas Blackman. Are you aware that after chattel slavery ended in 1865, do you know we went through another enslavement system called the convict leasing program?
We're against the clock.
We're up against the clock.
Okay.
Stay with us, because I want to ask you what now. Are you going to sue? What's going to happen? Hold on. We're
Craig Lee in studio, Mike and McCarty, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL.
At your job, do you ever have to deal with a nose roller? How about a snub pulley? Well, if you're installing a new conveyor belt system, dealing with the different components can sound like you're speaking a foreign language. Luckily, you've got a team ready to help. Grainger's technical product specialists are fluent in maintenance, repair, and operations. So whenever you want to talk shop, just reach out. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Get back to the show with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Craig Lee in studio, Mike and McCarty, Shreveport activist. So, Craig Lee, okay, so the meeting is today, special called meeting is today. So what is next?
The next thing is to see today whether or not the 6 African-American board members are going to do what they're supposed to do, which is to vote not to confirm Keith Burden for the position.
So why are they supposed to do that?
Because he's not the most qualified candidate.
That's not going to happen today. I'm hearing it's going to be maybe a 10-2 vote.
So if that happens, then we have to proceed with a lawsuit in violation of Title VII of the 1964 Civil Rights Act by these 8 board members. And
what did they do wrong according to the Civil Rights Act?
They violated employment discrimination, which now deals with recruitment, which deals with the hiring practices. All of that was done on August the 7th, 27th.
Wasn't that part of your lawsuit previously that's been thrown out?
No, that wasn't a part. And that wasn't our lawsuit anyway. There was another group of grassroots individuals who hired a lawyer. He wasn't a labor attorney. And so they went at the scoring aspect of it, but it wasn't based on the violation of Title VII of the 1964 Civil Rights Act.
So as you sit here today, you're planning to file a federal civil rights
we're going to have to
lawsuit.
Because
who will be the party? You personally, your group?
Get Up Incorporated definitely representing the interest of grassroots children and parents in Caddo Parish.
Okay. The meeting today, will there be a big crowd there? Are y'all all planning to speak?
That's going to happen. And whatever African American board members, and I want them to hear this loud and clear, whoever votes for Keith Burton to be confirmed, knowing that they have knowingly violated Title VII of the 1964 Civil Rights Act, they will also be personally sued.
Okay. Can we get beyond this? I know I hate hypotheticals. You lose your lawsuit. A federal judge says you have no standing. This is meritless. Can we all come together? We have to do better by our children, Craig.
That's what I do. That's why I'm with Dads on Duty.
Can we get behind Keith Burton?
No, that's never. That ain't never going to happen. Keith Burton. Look, we're not going to even talk about the actual innuendo rumor that Keith Burton has fixed test scores at South Highland to let white folks get in, and the black children.
You can't say. Do you have proof of this?
That's why I said we're not going to even get into that.
Well, you just did. Bring it up.
These are rumors that's out there. But my point is, we're not even making those particular claims. But you need to know.
Well, you just did, so you have to back that up. Do you have proof of that?
This is now from solid sources that this has happened. And so here you have a guy who has a master's degree now being the only candidate out of 5 PhDs, and 2 of them are running their school districts as deputy superintendents. I mean, let's be real here. And yet y'all are talking about let's get over this. No, you're never going to get over this.
What if he improves our schools? What if test scores go up? What if the failing schools are now better?
I love that question because the best indicator of future performance is past performance. So if he hasn't done the job in 11 years as the academic director for the Caddo Parish school system, how in the hell is he going to do that?
He hasn't been superintendent.
He has been over academics. He's been over academics.
He's not been the superintendent.
He's been over academics. Academics is what makes that happen.
Mm-hmm. Would you make the same argument for Kamala Harris?
She's not qualified.
Second in charge.
She's not qualified.
You're not voting for her?
No, look, I'm an independent, so I don't get caught up in partisan politics. I don't care if they're Democrats, Republicans. I don't care if you're African descendant, white. I'm going to analyze the merits of your plan, and we're going to move accordingly. I'm not one of these people who don't understand politics. I've been in politics for 39 years, from a freshman at Xavier University to now. So I'm not one of these people who don't understand how this is played.
Craig Lee, I'm glad we could have the discussion. This room's open. Appreciate you coming in. It's not going to be the friendliest of rooms, I'm sure.
Hey, I love it.
1017 FM 710 KEEL coming up. Mayor Tom Arsenault going to be joining us in studio. Another situation brewing with the Shreveport City Council.
Oh, yeah.
It never stops. 1017 FM 710 KEEL.
If you're a facilities manager at a warehouse and your HVAC system goes down, it can turn up the heat. Literally. But don't sweat it. Grainger has you covered. Grainger offers over 1 million industrial-grade products for all your operations, including warehouse HVAC maintenance. And even better, they offer access to experts and fast delivery, so you and your warehouse can both keep your cool. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
More breaking news and trending talk with Mike and McCarty on 1017 FM and 710 KEEL.
Shreveport Mayor Tom Arsenault joining us in studio to discuss yesterday's comments by the Shreveport City Council and the City Council meeting and what they've decided to do. You will believe it. It's coming up next. 1017 FM, 710KEEL.com.
Big stories of the day with Mike and McCarty on 1017 FM and 710 KEEL.
I don't have my maker's mark or my Jameson still here at the office.
I'll be all right. Thanks for all the texts and messages. I appreciate it.
Yeah, my phone's blowing up, the message board blowing up.
We'll get to that. Yeah. We got to get to another problem.
We've got the mayor in studio with us, Tom Arsenault, joining us, braving the weather. Thank you for coming out.
Well, it's my pleasure. Always a pleasure to be here.
We appreciate you taking time for us and our listeners. Interesting day yesterday.
It was an interesting couple of meetings. Yes.
Yes.
Council has decided in my view, it was I'm going to take my ball and go home. Didn't pass your selling the bonds for the $88 million, which gets the ball rolling for the next bond projects that we need to do. Didn't pass your emergency declaration for the apartment complexes that you want to extend. Kind of said, we're not going to give you anything you want unless you start moving people out of the police department headquarters building. Am I on target? Did I hear that wrong?
Well, certainly with respect to the bond proposals, that was clearly what they were saying, and we received their message.
Okay, received it and do what with it?
Well, we were already in the process of looking for a place to move the police department. That building is in poor condition. There's no question, and I regret that police officers are having to work in those conditions.
They were going to be moved because you're going to start construction on that building. Is that right?
Yeah, that'll be a while. And what the council said is that waiting until we're ready for construction is not an acceptable alternative. And I received that and I understand it. I don't disagree with it. So we already had identified between 6 and 8 potential locations for that. All of them will require some negotiation and some retrofitting to move there. But a couple of those are very, very promising, and I'm in hopes that we can move quickly on those.
Locations that may not cost us anything if you go to one of the school sites, or possibly I
don't think there's any location that's not going to cost us anything.
Okay. What about the retrofitting? That's where my problem is, Mayor Arsenault. Because for a detective room, we'll take that for an interview room, you got to have that double-sided mirrors. You got to have the camera systems, the recording systems. Is that going to be money we're going to just flush because we want to move them quickly?
Well, actually, that money is going to be spent one way or another, because no matter whether we do it now, and now means before, probably toward the end of the year, maybe the first part of 2025, whether we do that now or whether we do that when construction starts, that's something we're going to have to do because the detectives have to move. So that's a cost. That's not an additional cost. So that's something we were assuming we were going to have to do.
But if you buy those double-sided mirrors now for, let's say, the Montgomery Ward's building, they may not work in the substation, or you know what I mean? Well, or are you going to have to buy some of these things twice? That's my worry.
The detectives are not going to be in the substations.
Right.
So, we knew that we would have to find a permanent enough place to house police officers for 2 to 3 years, because that's going to be the construction process for the new headquarters. So we knew that we were going to have to do that. So this moves up the timeline. Every situation, or frequently situations, go along and they go along and they go along, and then you hit a tipping point. And when you hit that tipping point, the tolerance level decreases. And obviously, we've hit that tipping point here. And the council
we know that building at 1234 Texas has been in horrid conditions for a long time.
Correct.
Yeah, it's not a Tom Arsenault problem.
It's a Tom
Arsenault problem. It wasn't a Tom Arsenault cause issue.
We received that building in the condition that it's in, and we knew it was there, but we also knew that there were funds to replace that building, and now we need to move as expeditiously as possible. I met with the CAO after the council meeting yesterday and said, do whatever it is that you have to do to move this along.
Okay. The bond delay, the vote not to sell the bonds, that just delays us further on all the other projects we have lined up to get done. What kind of delay does that put you in?
I'm not sure. We're gonna huddle with our financial advisors and our bond attorneys to see what impact that will have. What we were hoping to do is to go to market before the presidential election, because there's almost always some market movement shortly after the presidential election, and we were trying to get in before that. Whether we'll be able to do that now or not, I don't know.
Will you keep it on the agenda? They tabled that one, I believe. Is that what they did?
They postponed.
Okay.
They postponed the two bond or project 2024 bond project related pieces of legislation. So they'll be back on the agenda on October 8th, and we hope we'll have a timeline for the council by then. That's a very ambitious schedule, particularly since we have a budget due October 1st. But we're well along in the budget process to have that prepared for the council. Mr. Dark has clear operating instructions to go forward.
The city at one time was looking at the Sears building at St. Vincent Mall. And, of course, we know LSU Health Science is taking that over. What was the issue with that location?
Well, there was some that decision really was made before I got in office, and there was some neighborhood opposition to that, as I recall. Just as an interested citizen, there was some neighborhood opposition to that, and some opposition in the police department, I believe, because they wanted a new building instead of an old building.
You say you've got 5 or 6 locations and some look very promising.
Yes.
And I do like the fact that you're saying, look, this is going to be a 2 to 3 year. So they're not going to be there for 6 months, and we're not going to spend all this money and then 6 months, move them again.
No, the real question, Mike, is when is a starting time? Mm-hmm. We knew that there was going to be an extended period of time because the new police headquarters will be on the side of the old police headquarters.
Sure.
And they can't be there while
they're
they're
be moved anyway.
Right.
So of those 5 or 6 locations, anything you can share with us?
I would prefer not to, because I have to negotiate price, and once I disclose that, the price goes up.
But they did talk about several vacant school buildings, and you would think the school board would give you a deal and say, yeah, come in these neighborhoods, we'll let you use the building for free. You don't think that'll happen?
I would be very surprised if that occurred, because the
school board has a separate on their minds right now.
They have a separate set of responsibilities, and I acknowledge that. There's some cost associated with it. There's going to be some cost. There have been several schools that were suggested, and we'll take a look at them.
They voted unanimously on the resolution urging you to declare an emergency over the SPD headquarters. Are you going to declare an emergency? And if not, why not?
Well, we'll keep our options open. It's possible that we're given the time frame that we have, that there may be some reason to do that would, for example, excuse a public bid process or something like that. So if we determine that that's something that will be beneficial, then we'll declare an emergency.
So you got some wiggle room on it today, which didn't sound like you did last week.
Based on what I know, I don't know that there is a particular legislative purpose or public bid purpose to doing it, and I prefer to withhold emergency declarations for things that will give us those kinds of options. And we'll retain an open mind about that. Council has very clearly spoken that they want to move with as much haste as we possibly can, and we receive that information.
They also tabled, I think, your other emergency declaration for those 3 apartment complexes. Am I correct about that?
They did.
And so that means that's now expired.
Correct.
There are concerns in those 3 apartment complexes that there are squatters, there are fire hazards, there are things that now, because that emergency declaration is essentially gone, that the city won't be able to address. Is that an issue that you're worried about?
Well, it's an issue I have to be concerned about. I do know that there is a potential pending sale of those units. We are in communication with the lender and with the potential buyer of those sites, and it's a buyer for rehabilitation. So we're in hopes that we'll be able to avoid those issues. But some of the powers that were made possible by the emergency declaration have now expired.
Were you surprised, Mayor Tom Arsenault, that this was a 7-0 vote on these? To not sell the bonds, to declare an emergency, all the other things they did yesterday. Was it surprising to you that it was unanimous?
By the time it occurred, it was not it was not a surprise. It was not a surprise to me.
Had you talked to any of them? James Green said the day before, put some mildew in your office. And why didn't you call me and talk to me about this? Why'd you go on the radio? Can you address that?
Well, I did attempt to call Mr. Green this week and did not get a return call. And but look, Reverend Green and I are friends, and we've got a little fissure going on now, and it's my responsibility to fix it, and I'm planning to.
All right.
Well, that's an interesting perspective. When I don't think you caused the fissure, but you say it's your responsibility to fix it. That's commendable.
Well, the responsibility of the mayor is to work with the city council, and that means to work with all 7 members of the city council. And that's my responsibility, and I take it very seriously. And I certainly did not do anything intentionally to create any tension. But if I did, then it's my job to try and relieve those tensions.
Mayor Tom Arsenault, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. 101.7. Looking forward to your next monthly hour to spend with us next week, I believe. Be careful driving. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL, Mike and McCarty.
Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Are we done? Oh, my mic's on? My bad. Whew.
Oh.
Some days you feel like you just worked out for an hour. You're like, whoa. What did we do?
I started off this morning tired. And now I'm...
Oh, you guys waited until I came back from my nice, relaxing vacation to just pick the craziest day. You guys you waited until I was back.
Careful with the "you guys" phrase there. That's all I'm going to say.
It's not a bad hour. Y'all got to admit. We had a few people listening. That's for sure.
Oh, man.
Is our message board blown up?
A little bit.
I can't even read. Aaron, I can't even read the messages.
It's going to make your blood pressure boil over?
Well, no, I can't. I don't think the FCC would allow me to read some of the messages.
Oh, okay. I gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I understand. By the way, if you missed our 7 o'clock hour, it is well worth sharing with your friends. Our podcast will drop at just after 9 o'clock. Download the KEEL app and then just click on Mike and McCarty on demand. And you can hear the whole 7 o'clock hour, which included Craig Lee, Mayor Tom Arsenault. You can hear it all over and over again and share it with your buddies. Because it was, it was that.
It was that.
What we need to do now, can we take a minute to do something fun for just a second?
Oh.
Because there is new research out that shows if you give yourself a 20-second self-hug, grab each of your shoulders and squeeze.
I believe
20 seconds.
That hug is called crapola. I think that's what they call that.
It reduces stress. It increases the kindness that you will show to others, and it improves your mental well-being.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
I've heard that about hugs in general, but not about self-hugs. I don't know.
Self-hugs now, because I guess we're all alone. Who knows? The effects on your mental health are greater among people who performed this practice every day. So you're supposed to get up, give yourself a hug every day.
Every day.
I love me. I'm hugging me. Is this the stupidest thing you ever heard?
Aaron, I'm a physically demonstrative person.
Sure.
Okay. For years. And I'm going back years before Harvey Weinstein. Okay.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm a hugger.
Yeah.
I can't anymore.
You can't hug people anymore.
I mean, and now it's even perceived as, that's kind of creepy.
I know.
And that's a shame.
It really is a shame. And it's sad.
We had the youth group when I was at a previous church, and I worked with the youth group. We took them to camp one year, and there was an exercise that we did. Everybody had to close their eyes. They were in a line. The kids were in a line. And we started at one end of the line and each one would hug that. And you didn't know who it was.
Yeah.
You would hug the other. You would go down the line, and everybody would give and get a hug. Okay, Aaron.
Y'all got in trouble,
It was
didn't you?
No.
Okay,
it
good.
was so emotional.
Huh.
It was so powerful. Just the act of physical contact with another human in a caring fashion was so. I'm telling you, there wasn't a dry eye in the room.
Wow.
It was powerful.
Interesting.
So when you say a self hug, I don't know if it has that same impact. But we do need that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That connection with other people, and that's why I hate this divisiveness that's going on right now.
I know. I hope we can get beyond it, but it doesn't sound like we are. It really doesn't.
1017 FM 710 KEEL, Mike and
See. With Robinhood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows the resourceful individual to earn the very liberal rate of 4.5% APY on uninvested cash, receive unlimited 1% deposit bonuses, and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on an IRA account. Get the privileges of the high net worth for any net worth for just $5 a month. Sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Terms apply. For product specific disclosures, visit Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rate may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC.
.17 FM 710 KEEL, Mike and McCarty. Looks like the rain's moved out of the area. Skies are good. I wasn't expecting rain.
No, I wasn't either.
Dadgummit. It was. I left my bike out this morning.
Uh-oh.
On the Jack Spring Electric Newsmaker hotline this morning, Richard Llewellyn giving us our daily Helene update as this storm moves through the Gulf and apparently looking at Florida as a target destination. Well, first of all, Richard, good morning. Has anything changed?
Really not much has changed since we talked yesterday. Still expecting this to be a major hurricane at landfall as it moves up into the Florida Big Bend. And, of course, this is going to be a whopper of a rainmaker for areas across Georgia and the upstate of South Carolina, western North Carolina, calling for a couple of months' worth of rain in 48 hours. In fact, here at my house on the west side of Atlanta, we have just got the latest numbers for rainfall amounts, and I'm pretty nervous. I think the only way I'm getting out of here is in a boat.
How much rain?
You said 10 inches yesterday?
Yeah, it was 7.5 yesterday. Now it's up to 9 inches. And there's an area from about Macon, Georgia, up to Clemson and working up to Asheville, North Carolina, that could see 10 to 15 inches of rain in 48 hours. So this is going to be a major catastrophic flood event for central and north Georgia, the upstate of South Carolina, western North Carolina, and maybe even East Tennessee as well.
The hurricane, Helene, it's not yet a hurricane. You expect that to happen today?
At 11 o'clock, I think we will see this become a hurricane. Right now, the center of the storm is over the warmest ocean content on the planet right now, so it is just going to go gangbusters.
Wow. Which is nothing but fuel for hurricanes.
Yeah, it's nothing but fuel for a hurricane. And once it gets away from the Yucatan Peninsula, which it's pulling away now from Cancun and Cozumel, it will really start to take off. And that's one of the reasons that they're calling this will be a major hurricane as it makes its way up toward Apalachicola. Another big concern is going to be with the storm surge. Surge is going to be a major factor, especially east of where the eye comes on shore. So, a large area from about Fort Myers and Sarasota northward all the way up to Apalachicola could see a significant storm surge. Places like Tampa Bay and further north on up the coast of the Forgotten Coast and those areas around Crystal River, Florida, they could be looking at a significant storm surge that could run 10 to 15 feet above normal sea levels.
They're comparing this hurricane to Katrina now. Is that accurate?
With the storm surge component, it could be. I don't think that it's as bad. Of course, when you think about a hurricane making landfall on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, one thing that you have there is a very shallow continental shelf. I mean, you could walk from the Mississippi Gulf Coast to the mouth of the Mississippi River. The water is just not that deep, so the water really likes to pile up, and especially in these areas where the coast is more concave, like it is for the Big Bend area, Florida, Appalachia Bay, those areas, water does like to pile up. And there could be a significant surge in those areas in regards to that. Winds are, it could be comparable. One storm that really pops into my mind is Hurricane Opal. I was living in Northwest Florida when Opal happened, and the storm come in about 25 to 30 miles per hour and then raced from Florida up into parts of the Northeast. It did bring a lot of heavy rain, and, we evacuated for that particular storm. We were 200 miles inland, and we saw pecan trees that were touching the ground in that particular hurricane. So, that's one thing that's going to be a real concern is how far the winds are going to spread out. This is a large hurricane in regards to the wind field. Tropical storm force winds extend out over 400 miles from the center of circulation, and the hurricane force winds could easily go 75, 100 miles out from the center. So a large swath of the Big Bend and southwest Georgia, moving on up into central Georgia, could see hurricane force winds out of the system.
Talking to Richard Llewellyn with the Weather Channel. Richard, I'm looking at the Weather Channel webpage now, and it shows the possible paths going up, of course, through Florida. But the entire Gulf is under purple and red going across Mississippi and the Louisiana coast and all the way, down the Texas coast. Is that flood concern or is that wind concerns? What can we expect, a little more locally here in Louisiana?
We can't really, once we get this front through, and we're pretty much pushing the front through now, it's going to turn out to be pretty nice here. The rains are going to kind of set up shop down to our south today, basically running from eastern Texas through Louisiana on up through central Mississippi and working up into western Alabama. There's a particular event going on right now, which is kind of a prefrontal type rain event that's going to spread a lot of heavy rain up ahead of the hurricane. And that's one of the reasons, too, that we've seen these exponential rainfall amounts, especially from Alabama eastward, where the significant rains are going to be at. But, once the front gets south of Shreveport, we're in smooth sailing. We're going to be up under the influence of this big low that's helping to steer the hurricane. So we're going to see relatively dry conditions that'll take us right on through the weekend. Got a beautiful weekend coming up here with temperatures in the mid-80s and lots of sunshine. It's going to be some fantastic weather coming up. The main concerns are going to be off to our east with a hurricane, and I think that's where the major players are going to be at here in the coming days.
One of the history-making hurricanes to hit Louisiana, of course, was Katrina. This sounds like Helene is going to be a monster as well. How is it going to compare to Katrina hitting New Orleans?
That's a good question. One of the things that I'm concerned about is Tampa, because we are calling for some pretty significant water rises there in Tampa Bay, where we could see water 9-10 feet above the normal averages there. Wow. Flooding is definitely going to be a concern, for Tampa. The bigger concern, the good thing about, once you get north of Tampa and get on up into the Big Bend area of Florida, population is not as great as it is, like, say, for Tampa, the major cities that are in Florida, Orlando, Miami, those areas. So this is a relatively rural area. But, if you live along the coast, it's going to be a big deal. Mm-hmm. And, when you get out toward Tampa, you start to deal with the surge effects that way. There's going to be some concerns there. But the big Katrina-type concerns, if we were going to compare it to anything, it's relatively going to be in a rural area. So, the bigger concerns are going to be in those areas where there's not a whole lot of people and not a lot of construction in those areas.
Richard Llewellyn with the Weather Channel. Thank you, Richard. We appreciate your updates.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, guys.
Mm-hmm. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL, Mike and McCarty.
Let's get back to the show with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Also, I do want to thank Mayor Tom Arsenault for being willing, to come in. He's always been so gracious and open and to come in and even tough situations like he faced yesterday.
Right.
You got to know, though, with all that went on yesterday, across the river, the Bossier City Council members are going, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Appreciate all you're doing over there.
You turn the news cycle over to you.
They voted down term limits again.
That is baffling to me. It is mind-boggling.
I just don't understand it. I really don't. I'm hoping that, the Term Limits Coalition.
I mean, all you can do is laugh.
I know. I don't know what to say. I'm almost speechless. I'm like, don't you hear the citizens? Don't you hear what people are saying? Don't you see the handwriting on the wall? But what someone said, and I don't know if it was Wes or Duke, I'm not sure. They said, you know what this has done? It has energized Bossier residents to care about their government, to show up at meetings.
To see who's listening and who isn't.
Who's doing right by what the people want.
Mm-hmm.
And so in the spring, I anticipate we may have almost a whole new slate of city council members in Bossier. I think Bossier residents are now fed up, and they're going to go, you're not listening to us at all? Bye-bye.
I'm kind of reminded, I had a little brush like with the film industry and television, being able to do some things. So you get kind of a inside baseball look. And these, and I'm correlating this with some of the council members, okay? These big stars, we know, the Tom Cruises and the big names, the Robert De Niro's, all they hear from everybody around them, you're so wonderful. You're so great.
Yeah.
You're, never get a no. Mm-hmm. Everybody around them, because, probably a lot are getting paid. I think these city council members are listening to those directly around them, and they're not living in the real world. They're not listening to those in the real world going, no, you're supposed to be representing us, but they're listening to those in their inner circle. Mm-hmm. And like the big star, they're not living in the real world.
Right, exactly. And
now I choose to say that because the other option is absolutely don't care. Mm-hmm. I know that's what they want, but puffing on the cigar in the dark room.
And that's what you'll hear, like Brian Hammonds and Chris Smith. They've said, the legal fight, it will now continue, and it's going to be city money spent on this.
Right.
We're going to have to hire lawyers to defend these council members, and it's like, don't we have better uses of the money? Can't we spend the money in a better place? Don't we need, streets fixed and all that sort of stuff? So it really is kind of frustrating. For Bossier residents, it really is. They're getting kind of fed up. They really are.
I think you're right. Mm-hmm. I think the next election, people in Bossier are going, we're not being listened to.
Yeah.
We're not being heard. We're not being represented. And, that's an interesting concept. You could see a clean slate in the Bossier City Chamber, after the next election.
Yeah, absolutely. It absolutely could happen. And, people are watching. They're watching everything you're doing.
As they need to be.
You bet.
All of us.
Mm-hmm.
From the presidential election down.
Yeah.
What does your candidate stand for?
Right.
What do they actually believe? Find out. Do your research.
Educate yourself.
Absolutely. And start with that Go Vote app, GEAUX, Go Vote. You should have that on your phone. That is, it's just a powerful tool.
Absolutely. Learn what's on the ballot before you walk in there. No doubt.
Mike and McCarty, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL, and on the free KEEL app.
Now more breaking news and trending talk with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Mike and Crystal. Aaron.
I've been on my phone a little bit. My phone's kind of blowing up.
A little bit. All I see is the top of your head.
My freaking phone's blowing up, as you might imagine.
Speaking of on the phone, Shreveport City Council member Ursula Bowman joining us. Ursula, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
We thank you for taking time. Hold on just a second. Ready? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Ursula. Happy birthday to you.
Oh, thank y'all so much. That was amazing.
My biggest
fill my heart.
Now, my biggest fear is when we do that and then somebody goes, "It was yesterday."
Yeah.
No, it was actually today, September 25th. My good friend Dottie Bell did post yesterday. She's always a day early. So all is well with that, but I feel very, very blessed. I'm not on any medication. Healthy. Have been 2 years on the council, and I still have all of my mind.
Well, a couple of things. We're not going to get into the council action. We'll do that on another day. But
no, this is just for you. Happy birthday.
No, I'm gonna do one. I'm gonna do one thing bad and one thing good. You ready?
Oh, well, never mind.
Yes, ma'am. I'm ready.
How about them Saints?
Oh.
Don't disconnect. Don't disconnect.
Go Cowboys. No, I'm fine. I'm fine because all is well.
Okay, and what's old Jerry getting you for your birthday?
I think we're going to just have a spa day. That's exactly what I told him I wanted, just a relaxing day after yesterday. Yesterday was a hard day, but we'll talk about that next week. And we're going to go to dinner. I was in support of the bond, so it hurt me to have to postpone it.
Yeah.
But all is well, and things will move forward. The mayor did let me know we're going to move forward. We're going to get these people in a safe location.
Okay.
Right now, it's a lot of people for me.
Yeah, let's schedule you to come in next week and let's chat about it because I know you don't want to delay things. You want to move things forward. But we just wanted to wish you a happy birthday. Just something silly today.
Thank you so much and call me anytime. I love y'all. Thank you.
You bet. Thank you, Ursula. Happy birthday.
Ursula Bowman, Shreveport City Council, Mike and McCarty, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL.
Back with more of Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
710 KEEL. Okay, when I leave Channel 3 in the afternoons and head home, I used to have the greatest commute in the world because I was on Kings Highway for maybe 20 yards, and then I turned off, and I was just through the neighborhood until I got home. But I'm noticing, and this has started I even before this week, there's already 12-foot skeletons in people's yards.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And ghosts hanging from the trees.
Right.
Come on. It's not even October yet.
Come on. I'm happy with it. I'm happy with Halloween stuff now. I'm worried about the people at Fern and South Piermont there.
Oh, yeah, that big one?
They haven't put anything up yet. Normally, they get all their Halloween stuff out really early. What's going on? Has something changed? Who knows what's happening there?
There was a poll, 5,000 Americans that were asked, is late September too early to put up Halloween decorations?
No. I'm good with that.
2/3 said yes.
No, if you want to put them out for a month, I'm fine with that.
I think since Walmart is already putting out Christmas stuff, we can put out Halloween stuff. I think it's fine.
I just, Thanksgiving gets so interrupted. I mean, it gets no attention.
Lost. Yes.
It gets completely lost. And Halloween's a big deal. The Halloween spending keeps going up every year.
I want to remember that I saw a study that said now more people decorate for Halloween than for Christmas.
Really?
Yes.
Well, we have a coworker.
Don't quote me on that.
In this building who's got all kinds of Halloween. He even put, during the height of COVID, he put a launch slide from one of his windows in his home to launch candy bars down to visitors.
Full-size candy bar. Yeah.
I wonder if he's still doing full-size candy bars. With inflation,
right.
I wonder if he's still going and buying full-size candy bars.
You're spending $300 on candy bars.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's nuts.
We did this yesterday while you were out. I'm spending almost $10 in the morning on my little snacky snack things that I drink, my little coffee thing, my little yogurt.
Yeah, this is not a sit down breakfast at the Cracker Barrel with eggs and bacon. This is a peach and a yogurt and a power drink.
Yeah.
Damn near every trip to the grocery store costs us $300 plus.
And your buggy's not full.
No.
Not even close.
Right. No, that's for a week's worth of stuff.
I haven't seen a full buggy come out of my grocery store since the beginning of the year. Not one loaded down.
Right.
Maybe I've missed them, but I've been watching. I haven't seen one loaded to the brim all year.
Now, I have come out of the grocery store having spent more on dog food than people food.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Oh.
The big 30, 40-pound bags of dog food now?
Mm-hmm.
Too high.
Yeah.
I'm having that delivered now. I'm ordering that online. It's
your
cheaper.
delivery guy loves you for that.
Oh, I'm sure they hate me, but it's cheaper.
Well,
I
we've
found
gotten
it cheaper online.
The last several times we've gotten the Kirkland brand dog food, which is really good, but it's at Costco.
Okay.
And so when we go visit Micah, when we make a trip to Dallas, we're like, oh, get a bag of dog food while you're there.
Yeah. Bo's a big boy, and Bo could eat 3 bowls of food every day if I were to put it down.
Sure.
So Bo gets whatever I buy dog food. That's what he gets. Whatever I buy dog food. So I have found and my son, Bo is my son's dog. And my son said, just get him it doesn't matter. Get him whatever. And so I get him, but I found the one brand he loves, and I get it online, and it's about $5 a bag cheaper.
When I feed my dog, we're down to 1. We at one point we had up to like 4 or 5 at one time. And I do the dry, and then I also take can and I mix some canned in it.
Do you really?
And I thought that was pretty elaborate.
Yeah.
Okay, that's kind of elaborate. My daughter does that for her dogs. Until my mom said, "Hey, I'm going out of town. Will you feed my dogs?" I said, "Okay, sure." So I go over, and she has the instructions. Here's the instructions. This dry dog food, which is, by the way, not your old Roy dry dog food.
Right,
this is incredible dry dog food.
Organic, yeah.
Yeah, organic, and it's all these different pieces and meat. And then she has green beans, and you have to mix the green beans in with it. And then she cooks chicken every week and puts chicken in the fridge. And so there's shredded chicken that you mix up with that. And then a broth.
And then you warm it up?
Are you?
Wow. Wow.
I said, Mom, these dogs eat better than I do.
I'm saying, when's lunch? Can I go over?
Yeah. I want to sit down with Mac and Gracie and have lunch.
I'll kneel on the floor and eat out of the bowl. I'm good. Sounds delish.
Oh, my gosh.
Man.
Yeah. 101.7 FM, my dog's going, hey.
Yeah.
What about me?
Hook a brother up.
101.7 FM, 710 KEEL.
Let's get back to the show with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
FM 710 KEEL. Mike and McCarty. Do you see there was $1 million winner in Louisiana?
Was there really?
Yeah, apparently.
Okay.
I know you haven't won.
No, I haven't. Big prize tonight, though. I think the Powerball's closing in on $300 million or something.
Somebody in Lafayette won $1 million.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I think the prize for tonight's drawing, let me look real quick, is it's a whopper doodle. It's $223 million. Cash value 112, and the drawing is tonight. So, this is big enough where I might buy a ticket. Once it gets over 200 million, I'll start buying tickets. So we shall see.
Wait a minute.
What?
Wait a minute. Lafayette won $10,000.
Oh.
Where do you buy your tickets?
Different places, wherever I am. Not anything special.
According to the lottery website, million Mega Millions winning ticket was purchased at the Circle K in Shreveport on Pines Road.
No
That's right
way.
there. That's right there.
$1 million ticket?
$1 million ticket. Aaron,
you
look at Aaron's
serious?
face. Reuben, look at Aaron's face. Yes. 8179. That's the store number. 8179 at 7702 Pines Road.
I've never bought anything there.
Oh, okay.
I've never bought a ticket there.
Oh, dang. Gosh. Well, if you did only win $1 million, Reuben and I wouldn't get ours.
No, you wouldn't get anything, probably.
And I understand.
But I'm trying to think. Did I buy my last? That's Mega Millions?
It said, according to the Louisiana Lottery website, $1 million Mega Millions winning ticket was purchased in Shreveport at Circle K number 8179, located at 7702 Pines Road. We had $1 million winner right here.
Wow. That's the store. I can almost touch it from here.
I know. That's where I get my gas all the time.
Holy cow. Oh, my.
But I never go inside. I
I rarely go in there either. I'll get gas, and that's about it. Whew.
Do you?
No,
and
I haven't
you,
bought one there.
Okay.
I bought one at the Circle K at Southfield and Uri. I think that's the last place I bought my Mega Millions. I'm not sure. Oh, that's disappointing. That could have been me. I haven't had my last ticket checked, to be honest. Have I gone into that Pines Road store? Did I maybe go in there?
Yeah.
No, I didn't. It's not
when
me.
you were real drunk one time? And that's why you don't
I don't ever
remember
get
it?
drunk. No. All my friends are screaming at us.
Right.
I never get drunk.
It is Wednesday, and we know what happens on Wednesday.
Shh. Look at the time. Aren't we done, Reuben?
Wine Wednesday.
I start Wine Wednesday on Tuesday night.
And on that note, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL.